Hey, what's up, guys? It's Andrew from GarageBandProfessional.com. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to go about EQing guitars in GarageBand. Now, I'm just going to do the tutorial side of this video. I'm just going to show you how to do it. I explain everything and talk about all the concepts and whatnot to keep in mind in the article. I already talked about all that stuff, so definitely check out the article. I'm going to put the link in the description. But anyway, so let's just move right into the the EQ. So I have 3 loops set up right here. These are all Apple loops. I'll show you what they sound like. I'm gonna turn the EQ off as well as the compressor on all of them. There. So let's see what this one sounds like. So it sounds pretty good, all right? So normally I'd put the compressor on, use a preset, perhaps like acoustic guitar, and then let's go into the EQ now. So now we're gonna put on the preset, acoustic guitar bright, hit on. So yeah, what you want to do really is just understand that most of the guitar's frequencies are lying between 100 and around the 5,000 range, 100 to 5,000 to 9,000, 10,000-ish. Now, of course, there's frequencies above that, above and below that, and it will make a difference whether or not you attenuate it or improve it or increase it rather. However, the vast majority of the changes that you make will be between like this point and then this point. So if you look at the analyzer, for instance, you can see that the waveform is pretty much right here. There's some at the higher end as well that's very low, or excuse me, that's quieter. But I mean, that's where you can make the most changes. So as you can see here, this is the preset that they have. Now with the acoustic guitar, right away you see that they set up somewhat of a high pass filter. It's not really a high pass filter, but it's kind of similar because it's not as big as a typical high pass filter. But you can see that we're kind of eliminating a lot of these lows because those lows aren't really present in the acoustic guitar anyway. So if you would move this like that to get rid of it, and then this is where the kind of the muddiness range is, 200 hertz. So I mean, let's play it, and then I'll show you what I mean. So you can see when you attenuate that signal, and attenuate, by the way, means kind of like decrease. It gets more clear. Like when you drop down these mids right here. That's why they kind of call it the muddiness frequency, because when you decrease it, it kind of clears up the sound, and it allows all these other sounds to pass through. So if you attenuate that, it tends to sound quite good. In this range, this like 500 to 1,000 range, that's where it's kind of like you get more of a hollow sound when you increase it. So you notice that it sounded a bit hollow, right? So if you let's see what it sounds like when you decrease it. You notice that it sounds like there's a lack of depth. So I mean, if you jack it all the way up again, it sounds hollow, but when you decrease it all the way down, it sounds like there's no depth. So a good move to do is to just increase it by a little bit in that range. Now this is this range from like 1,000 to 20,000. That's gonna introduce more like clarity and presence, and like sparkle. Like sparkle is more the higher end from 5,000 to 20,000. Like I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, so that's going to bring more sparkliness to the sound. So let's do this range. Let's mess around with this range now. this area, when you increase it, it almost has like a wide open effect. It almost like it opens up the sound and makes it more, it just sounds wide and open, you know, it sounds like you're outside or something. By the way, I got a present for you. Go to producersociety.com/free mixing cheat sheet. That'll put you on my list to get a free mixing cheat sheet. And I send all kinds of cool tips and stuff that I don't share anywhere else. You can also join my forum at forum.producersociety.com. For now, it's totally free to sign up, but in the future, I'll probably lock it down and then turn it into a full course platform. And then in this area, you know, you can really get the low end. Like you can really get like a boom if you increase around the lower part. That's how you get kind of more like a booming guitar. It really depends on what you're doing, you know. Yeah. So I mean, that's how you would EQ an acoustic guitar. Just like, you know, like I would really recommend just using the presets at first, and then you can kind of move on from there and figure out what sounds good. It's definitely a great jumping off point. So let's move into the electric guitar now, or excuse me, the clean guitar. So let's turn this on. And because it's the same instrument, you know, I mean, a lot of this principles kind of apply. So you notice that we've got rid of these lower frequencies again, because there's not many frequencies in that range in a guitar anyway. You know, we've jacked up the low end a little bit. We've kind of decreased this range a bit, around 200 to 500. So I mean, it's very similar to the guitar. You know, when you're in this area and you're jacking up these lower frequencies right here, this is like the very bottom of where the guitar's frequencies lie. You know, you're going to increase more boominess to it. If you get rid of these frequencies in this area, you kind of get rid of the muddiness. You know, you could turn it up a little bit if you wanted to, you know, make it a little more thick. However, most people are gonna attenuate these frequencies just by a little bit. And this is where you get the hollow sound, similar to the acoustic guitar. But when you jack it all the way down, you know, it's going to sound, there's no depth to the sound. But when you jack it all the way up, it's almost like there's too much depth. You're just like, you're literally hollowing out the sound, and it doesn't sound nearly as good. And obviously this range is more for like getting it to sound wide open, as I said before. And then this range is like the sparkle. Like around here is more like for wide open sound. And then around here, this is more for like the sparkle. So in this range, this 10,000 to 20,000 kilohertz range, that's like the really high harmonics. You know, the highest notes are going to be most affected by that, and like harmonics are affected by it. And you know, you're just going to add more like brittleness to the sound. Now obviously brittle, you don't want it to sound brittle, but it's going to push your sound in that direction where you're just adding more like of a kind of sound, like more of a you know, an airiness to it. In terms of the dark and heavy riff, oh yeah, as I mentioned before, you know, try out like the cleanup guitar when you're EQing the guitars, and you know, you're gonna get a good idea of what that sounds like. Also, like let's look at the funk guitar and that will also show you what that would sound like. You can see with the funk guitar, there's like no subtraction of these low frequencies at all, and they just jacked up the higher end. And that's going to give like a really twangy sound. So you can see what I mean. Like if you were to play open chords, like dan 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 dan, it would sound like really twangy, right? Which is you know, the goal of that preset. Anyway, let's do like a metal, like a distorted thing. Now, similar to the clean guitar and as well as the acoustic, you know, all the frequencies kind of lie in the same area. However, with the distorted guitar, it's more frequency rich, as they say. It's like more, it responds more to EQ. Honestly, like every aspect of it, it responds more. You know, and it's the same principles really apply. Like in this range, you might cut it out completely. You might drop out the mids a little bit to get rid of the muddiness. You can see how that sounds muddy, right? So, I mean, you just want to drop that down a little bit. Maybe you put this area up a little bit just to thicken it up a bit. And this is more for like getting that wide open sound. And this is more for the higher end. Now, obviously, that area is where it starts to get hissy and staticky and brittle. So this area is super sensitive when you're EQing electric guitars. So, I mean, technically, in my opinion, this is the best way to go about EQing your guitars when you first start. Just use presets and kind of adjust it accordingly. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. You know, make sure to check out my article at GarageBandProfessional.com. I really run through a lot more. You know, I just didn't want to waste time, you know, repeating things I've already said in the article. So I just kind of show you like what these things sound like. And yeah, I think that's all for this video, and I guess I'll see you guys next time.